going on, everybody? Welcome to my channel. This is something, I guess, new for me, but at the same time, I have to get it on my system. I have been thinking about this fucking deck way too much and thinking about how to fix it, what if scenarios of cards I could potentially print, but also, like, what can I do to make this deck work? And for the for the most part, I feel like this is the best way to do it in my particular build. I mean, obviously, it's completely subjective, but I feel like a lot of these cards are suit the meta, B, suit the way the deck wants to play, and C, keep consistency nice and tight. So you could definitely replace a bunch of these cards with something that you feel better suits the meta. I would feel, though, in terms of as close to objectiveness as I could possibly reach, that the Valkyrie lineup is extremely tight and extremely nice, and as well as the Diviners needing to be in the deck, and possibly the Lightning Storms. Like, all of these cards feel really good. Also, one for one. But for the most part, this isn't a deck profile. This is just me putting my example of a deck that I feel works. But for the most part, this is me explaining what Valkyries are, what they have, and what they fucking need. And what they definitely don't need any more of. So let's just go ahead and get into it. I think, when we look at this deck, we have to look at the first few things to go into it. Starters, right? We look at the starters. Drite is, by and away, your best starter for most cases. Before. In terms of raw Valkyrie cards, it was your best starter. Just because it's a generic search card. Generic summon that searches any Valkyrie card. In name, by the way. Not in text. In name. That's important. Which is very nice. So you can search Rite of the Valkyries, and if you have a handful of high-level Valkyries, you summon them and you try to swing for game, because Rite of the Valkyries gets you Mischief to the Time Goddess, and Mischief says you can attack twice. Well, you can attack with double battle phases, which is extremely cool, and one of the biggest reasons I even wanted to try the deck, because I thought this card was so sick, and I still do. And as they put out more support, I kept trying it out. Like, I've been playing this deck since before the support of, like, Sexte, Erida, Sigran, all of these cards. I tried it with Brunhilde. That's when I first bought it and built it. I owned the deck. I don't own Diviners, and I'm really close to doing it, even though I know this deck is not very good. And I don't play Drytron, or even any fucking ritual deck. I want to play this deck in real life, really bad. Just because, I don't know, I'm a fucking sucker for this archetype for some reason. This is like the one archetype that's terrible that I always go back to for fun. I really enjoy it, and I think it's really interesting. I like the fact it's a deck that doesn't have a negate, like a quick effect negate, doesn't have like any form of real quick effect pop, right? Like, you kind of have this. This is a target pop, but it only works on summon. It's really a deck that is all in gigantic fat cock that you lug over your shoulder, and you walk in, you fucking slap it on their face, drop down fucking Mischief the Time Goddess, and just bring it back around, right? And slap it against the other side of the cheek, right? And hope to God that fucking knocks them out, right? Because that has no follow-up. It has zero follow-up. It has no sort of follow-up at all. And I have to very specifically get, really fucking emphasize that, because it has no fucking follow-up. It has none. So I really like that about the deck. I think that's fine. I think the fact that it doesn't have follow-up and the fact that it has all these OTK cards is totally fine. I think that perfectly balances the deck. The only problem is they tried to balance too hard, and it doesn't have nearly the tools needed to win. It doesn't have barely any one-card wonders. It needs, like, especially when it first came out, you needed a whole fucking hand of Valkyrie monsters to even consider an OTK. They've made it better, but it's still not good enough. So I want to talk about what they have, right? And we look at this. This is your starter, right? We're just gonna look at the Valkyrie cards for now, and that's it. That's your starter. You have to hope to God you draw this, because this is your other starter, and also your OTK. This is the deck pretty much, because then you're gonna get to this. You're gonna try to swing for a game. I'll talk about the other ways you could play the deck later, because there are other ways. I don't want to... Jesus. But this is your other best starter. Right? This is a good card, but it's not really a starter because it has to be special summoned. This is a good card, but it needs a continuous spell to be special summoned, to summon something else, but you could summon that, and you could, shenanigans from there. But the problem is, look at my deck real quick. Do you see any continuous spells? No, you don't? Oh, it's because they're all fucking awful, right? The only other good one, you have these, right? These are the in-archetypal ones. and they're terrible. They're fucking awful, right? You could, you know, this one gives you protection, right? But it doesn't do anything else. This like garbage mill control effects that they do, that you need 3 of them, by the way, which means that if you want to consistently get these onto the board, you need 3 of this bitch, 3 of Scold, and then you want 1. But this is the best one, and if you lose that one, then really the whole point of them are gone, because this is the one that's going to protect you. I don't understand why these cards are in this archetype. Also, they see how they say Valkyrie in the text, but they don't say it in the fucking name? That's just another fucking goddamn example of this asinine archetype and the way they don't have Valkyrie in the fucking name. Anyways, but yeah, there is one other card. I missed an A. That is like decent, and that's this card. This card is decent in the deck, but I have problems with this card. Now, don't get me wrong, I do think if you're playing this card, that's fine. I would say this is your best form of alternative to Diviner. It would probably change some of the ratios you have going here. Maybe more Sigrons, maybe more Sextays. I don't know. But it definitely changes the the way the deck is played. It's not a bad card, but this is just way and above better than this card. But it's decent. It's decent. Being able to facilitate something like Sextay, being able to facilitate getting any of these cards on the board. It doesn't, unfortunately, activate Erd's first effect of lowering everything by 1,000 because it has to specifically be a Valkyrie card. But this is as close to a non-Valkyrie card as you're going to get to a Valkyrie card, because it does work very well in the deck. Right, and then your other form of starter is Virte. She's just like, she's a starter, right? She starts by killing herself, and then maybe you summon this, and you summon this, and it summons this from hand, right? And then you're still in battle phase, so you can still attack, but you're not doing this, which means you're not getting to mischief, which means that you're not OTKing, which means that you have mediocre cards on board for your opponent's next turn to come back, and that's a problem. But I still run 2 anyways, because A, she has a nice little sort of search effect, which is cool. Like, I don't hate that effect. It would be better if there was better, normal spells in my deck, but some of them are okay. Unfortunately, this is terrible to hit because you're probably not going to be in the start of your main phase anymore, which means you're not going to be able to use it. Having this in the deck is, needed, but it is searchable off of that. And then the good ones are these 2, which might be able to facilitate a little bit more onto the board and be able to dump more monsters, assuming you haven't already used Sextay's effect. But Monster Reborn could be nice. It's only okay, honestly. This card could very easily be cut. For a lot of these generic cards, they could easily be cut. I do really like these. Chalice is my own personal favorite kind of card right now. I really like it in today's format. And Pank is decent, right? The good thing about Pank is it doesn't activate in hand, the special summon itself, and then it's a tribute pop. But at the same time, it's able to swing over things like a 3 material Apo, which makes it so good. But at the same time, you're using your battle phase to do that. So, I don't know. I think it's fine. Some of these cards are easily debatable, but I do think that these ratios are very tight. I could play more hand traps. I play 1 Veiler, and the reason you play 1 Veiler is because of Lina. If you do the Diviner, so Diviner is amazing in this deck. I'll get to why you run the 1 Veiler and the 1 Lina after I get done talking about Diviner, because Diviner is infinitely a better Valhalla, because it's a 1 card Sextay. It's a 1 card Sextay, Drite, into anything else you need. And it's a 1 card wonder because of that. It's funny because it's like the best fucking support that they've gotten since ever, right? Ever. Since fucking Bride of the Valkyries came out. It's the best support since then. This card is amazing in this deck. It's a Light Fairy, which is fantastic. So that already works really well, and then this card is a Light Fairy as well. But what you do is use the effect. You send this to the grave. This activates in the grave, tributing it. Very important that you tribute Diviner. Diviner triggers summoning a level 2 fairy or lower from the deck. Well, what do you know? Level 1 fairy, and special summons, so therefore you can summon another Valkyrie monster from the deck. Drite, and then Drite searches Rite of the Valkyries, and hey, all these high level ones that aren't doing anything are suddenly live, and you have the potential to swing for game. The problem, though, with all of this is the fact that Mischief the Time Goddess says that you have to have all cards be Valkyries. This card is not a Valkyrie, as you can tell. It says Trias, which is a problem. Trias Hierarchia, or whatever. That's a problem. However, There is a non-Valkyrie card that deals with this issue, Baba Barber. At the start of the battle phase, you banish it. You pretty much just take 2 materials, a link 2, and you say, I don't want it anymore. And it never comes back, because it's supposed to come back in the end phase, but you're going to be skipping over the end phase with Mischief. Otherwise, another one you could go into is Lina. And Lina's okay in the deck. I mean, you have a bunch of lights, and it's very easy to get 2 lights on the board, so it's very doable. And then what you could do is, if in a particular situation where you don't have Erda alive, or you have Erda and they have something like a 3k monster, it's going down to 2k, this is 1850, so you can just swing into it, get rid of the link 2, and then search a effect filler, so if you're not getting game that particular time, you at least have a hand trap for next turn. So that is the only reason, but you could also search Diviner, you can search Drite, you can search, well, you can't search Drite because it'd be 1500 or less defense, which is annoying, but you could search Virte, you can't do that one either, but you have options, I guess, if you really wanted them. And then this is fine. I mean, that's why I run 3 of all the important ones. And you could replace, well, I wouldn't say you would want to, because if, say, for instance, the game is going on longer than you want it to, and you have another Diviner, you can at least pop something on the field with Diviner, because you don't have 2 of this, and this gets banished when it uses its in effect. You could actually run 2 of it. I'm kind of thinking about running 2 of it, because it's not a bad card to hard draw either. Like, it's a pretty good card, because if you have 3 Valkyries on board and you didn't get game, you have this card, which is a non-target destruction if you tribute 2 monsters, and if you tribute 3, you get the non-target destruction, and you can draw 2 more cards, which is a little bit of a nice comeback ability that the deck desperately kind of fucking needs. And then this is just to run over cards you can't run over otherwise, and this is to clear back row and/or monsters. This is to deal with something like Apo, something like Shureg. It's very nice against those, and then Pank, because Pank. But so let's go ahead and get into the cards that I'm not playing now. So we know what they do. We know what you want to do. Your win con is winning the game on turn 2, hopefully. Sometimes it can go on longer. Sometimes very well does. But hopefully that's the idea. And we look at the cards that I'm not playing. Nibiru is an interesting one because you would think that it would be pretty good in the deck, but it's not. Another card that is actually you would think would be good in the deck is the Dimensional Shifter? I don't remember. There it is. Dimension Shifter. You would think this card would be good in the deck because who gives a fuck if your cards are banished? But you actually do. There's one fucking case in this entire deck where you don't want a card to be banished. Well, besides this one. Before, if you weren't playing this, it'd be better, but right of the Valkyries, you don't want to get banished because you need to banish it to get Mischief, which is a problem. Otherwise, you don't give a fuck if any of these are banished. But yeah, that's an issue. But Nibiru, you would think it would be better, but it's not because the issue is if they put up a token that's too big in defense position, you cannot get rid of it. If it's too big in attack, you cannot get rid of it. You only have a few cards that can deal with it. That, this, I guess, depending if you're not using it on back row, this, and Zuaite, right? These are the only cards that could potentially get rid of a massive fucking token. If you don't have them, you can't do anything. You can't fucking do anything, which is a problem. Also, you'll have Nibiru on the board, which is also another problem. You don't want cards that aren't Valkyries on the board. It's already hard enough getting rid of this stupid asshole. If you have this as well, then it's annoying. Another part of it that's just annoying. It is a light, though, so you can go into Lina, which is pretty funny. Valkyrie's Embrace is another card that I barely didn't make the cut, mostly because Valkyrie's Embrace is only okay. It's spot removal for a deck that kind of doesn't mind doing it. It puts your Valkyrie monster in defense, which is annoying. It gets over cards that float because it banishes it, but it does target. And it has to target your monster as well, and it puts your monster in defense, which is annoying, like I mentioned. Otherwise, it's okay. It's okay. It's a Valkyrie. Really nice. It has fucking Valkyrie in its name. It has Valkyrie in its name. Huzzah! They did it! They put it in the name! It's not a bad card either for going second. But it's only okay. And that's the downside to the card, I'd say. And it's weirdly is the only card that locks you into Valkyries for the rest of the turn. You cannot special summon any monsters except for Valkyries for the rest of the turn. And I didn't even know that because it never comes up. But one time it did, and I was trying to make a link to Lina, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Why isn't this working? How am I locked? It's like, oh, fucking Valkyrie's Embrace. Spot removal locks you, huh? Who'd have thought? The card that dumps a bunch of shit onto the board doesn't, though. Weird. It kind of does, because you need to have only the Valkyries when you're ending battle phase. Otherwise, everything gets shuffled away. Mischief gets over that. But so hilarious to me that they did it with that card. And then next we have Funte. Funte is not a bad card. It's kind of one more, a little bit. The ability to dump a Speller Trap to the grave, deck to grave, any Speller Trap, by the way, is nice. Foolish Burial Goods is decent. You could use it on something like Full Metal Fusion if you want to get a draw one. I get a draw one. Well, it's not bad. And then you have the ability to bump all your other Valkyrie monsters up in attack, which is actually very nice. It's very nice, actually. Especially if something like Erda on the board with something like Brunhilde, and you're getting over these things and you're getting such massive attack. For all your cards, all Valkyries getting that 200 each, which is very nice. Definitely compounds very well, but the problem is the card doesn't do anything else on its own. It is a potential another target. Well, we'll get to that later when we get to it. It's down the line of other cards to talk about. And then Virte, I've already kind of said about it. It gets nice generic spells and traps into the hand. If there was better generic traps to play, it would be even better, especially if you're not able to OTK the turn. On turn 2, you can at least get some sort of like potential really good generic trap onto the board, but unfortunately there's just really none that is worth playing. Maybe, and I say maybe, I personally am not crazy about this card, but maybe Infinite Impermanence wouldn't be bad. But I feel like Targeted Negates is only okay. I don't know. It is a potential card. I don't know where I would fit it. Maybe over Chalice, if you like that better. I personally like Chalice better, just because it deals with Tri-Brigade really well right now. We could do that if you prefer to do so. The next card is... Sometimes I see people play this card. It's not an awful card, but it's not good. For one, it has 1600 attack, which is pretty low, but part of the course for this deck. On summon, it's it gives you back Mischief from your graveyard. Only on special, by the way, which you're going to be doing. It's so if you do Rite of the Valkyries once, and you use Mischief, and you don't win, you summon this card, you can at least get Mischief back. It's very clear that they want you to play 1 Mischief at the Time Goddess. People play 2. I think it's a 1-of. I disagree. It's terrible in the hand, so you really don't want to draw it. It's only okay in the hand. It's better now in the hand, but it used to be awful in the hand. So it's okay. And then it has a DD Crow effect, a quick effect of banishing 1 card in your opponent's graveyard, and then it copies the attack of what you banished. Doesn't gain, copies, which is so stupid. But it's okay. It's okay. It's a 1-of maybe, but even then I don't really want to play it. I really run 2 Sextay in the deck, as you can see. The third one I got rid of because you don't really need it as badly anymore now that you have Diviner. If you're, again, running Valhalla, I would probably run 3 of this, and as well as probably Sigrun. But yeah, so that's why I'm only running 2. Next is back row removal. Possibly you want to run more back row removal in the main deck. Possibly, right? I have Lightning Storm to kind of facilitate that issue. Possibly you want to run, instead of Pankratops, get Harpies. It just feels so bad to run these cards when you're playing against a deck that has no back row at all, and you draw these cards and you think to yourself, oh, damn it, that sucks. Because you're probably not gonna lose, but losing even 1 card in your hand hurts the soul so bad in this deck. But man, you just lose to Torrential Tribute. You just lose. You get Torrential Tribute, you fucking lose. So, yeah. And then the next piece is actually a really cool tech, in my opinion, Downbeat. Now, there's the other one that goes up a level, but you want to go down a level, I think, in this deck, because, say, for instance, you have Diviner. So you use Diviner, you summon it. I try to activate the effect that go, okay, I'm going to stop that. There you go, Ash. You say to yourself, fuck. Fuck. But Downbeat, if you have it in hand, will tribute it, so you get the tribute as well as the ability to summon Sextay, since they're both light fairies. And then you can summon a second Sextay, but it won't matter. But that's just a nice way of extending plays, but it does have other uses. Say, for instance, you have Verite and you have Downbeat. Tribute Verite, bring out Diviner. Both are light fairies. Great. And then Diviner will trigger because it works on special, which is fantastic. Otherwise, there is another mode of doing this, right? So you can downbeat any of these into other ones because they all have different levels. Or you can get rid of Trias that way, right? Instead of making Baba Barber, you could just say, okay, I want another 2k beater because it's a level 9. Use downbeat, get rid of the level 9, summon the level 8. Get Erda. Unfortunately, it doesn't get Erda's ability to lower the attack by 1,000, but it does gain the Dark Law effect of any card that's destroyed is then banished. So you have that, at least, going for you. It is a 2K beater, so if you already have a ways of getting over problematic monsters, then you have more damage on the board that you wouldn't otherwise have. I do think it's nice. I don't think it's amazing, but I do think it's nice. And then till we get to the step fucking children of the fucking Valkyrie archetype, that Final Light is deceptively terrible, right? You would think it's great. It's a soul charge. It's amazing. And then you realize that it gives your opponent a soul charge for free. Also, which is already bad enough. Also, and they can summon in defense. Also, it's not searchable. Look at this name real quick. Do you see the Valkyrie in its name? Oh, you don't. There's no Valkyrie in its. Who the fuck? Why did? You have to hard draw it. Not only do you have to hard draw it, it only summons Valkyrie monster, dude. It summons them from the graveyard, where you don't want to summon them from. Which is already, like, it's a good comeback card, but then you're giving your opponent so much shit, too, and you're already playing Valkyries, bro. Like, don't give your opponent more cards, or summon, search more things, and give them more advantage. It's not very good. It's not very good. This card is also, like, so close to being wanting to be played, because it gives you that protection that could be so nice. You cannot target with card effects, and it can't be destroyed by card effects. Torrential Tribute, bro. It protects from Torrential Tribute, but it does nothing else. It does nothing else. I mean, it's a continuous spell, so you can bring it back with Zweite if it attacks. Or, you know, you can use Sigrun to get rid of it, but it gets rid of it. It fucking gets rid of it. The protection is gone. Sigrun. Oh, Torrential, I wish I still had it, but it's in the fucking graveyard. Also, not a Valkyrie card in name. Fantastic. Another non-Valkyrie card in name. Apple of fucking Enlightenment, right? These are like part of like these effects that start saying, oh, if this card is destroyed by your opponent's card, then you can do some things. This one says draw. Oh, that's fantastic. Except I have to make my fucking opponent say, hey, destroy it. Please. Send it somewhere that isn't on the field. Please, opponent, do something for me. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it's a fucking DD Crow. It just banishes cards. It's like, okay, that's great, because it powers up a bunch of your cards, like your monsters, but it's a fucking trap card, dude. I guess it has a little bit of playability in the fact that Mischief goes to the next turn. So in turn 1, you know, maybe you do some damage, and maybe on the next turn you're like, fuck, I don't have enough damage. And you have Funte on board. Well, you just go, okay, now Apple of Enchantment, or Enlightenment, is fucking live, banish a bunch of shit, and then gain the attack, and swing for game. Right? That is decent, and possibly what they probably wanted you to do with it. It's just fucking garbage otherwise, and it's not searchable, fantastic, hard draw it, or use Verite to get to it. Or fucking Trap Trick. Then the next one, these fucking Union monsters, dude. What? These cards suck. These cards suck. Okay, for one, it's treated as a Valkyrie card, but not in deck. I don't know if it's... I'm never going to play this fucking card, for one. And two, it's a wind fairy. It's not even a light fairy. And two, it has to be on board to equip to something, because it has to target it. And then the monster can attack fucking directly for half damage. Are you going to win with this card? Fuck no. Of course you're not. It's terrible. What the fuck? Valkyrie Chariot is better because there's Valkyrie in its name, which means to search it off of Drite, and then the monster, it protects the monster one time. So if you know you're able somehow to get this equipped demo monster before fucking Torrential's activated, and they activate Torrential, you can protect that one monster. Fantastic. Also, if it has it, 500 attack. 500 attack. Isn't that great? Fantastic. Fucking shoot me in the fucking head. Terrible. Pegasus Wings. Oh, you know, if you have a... It's basically this fucking card, except all your Valkyries can attack directly for fucking half damage. You have to have 5 fucking Valkyries, and they have to be all of the good ones, and with Brunhilde bumped up for this to even potentially fucking matter for an OTK. And you have to have one of those garbage Union monsters. This is the most win more card I've ever seen in my fucking life that does nothing. And then Logue's Flame, a control card that says, That's basically a gravity bind for 2K or higher attack. Or 2K and lower, I'm sorry. It's even worse, right? That's already a non-issue, dude. That's already a fucking non-issue. Why the fuck is it 2K or lower? And then it has like a fucking, if it's destroyed by your opponent's card effect. Hey, can you destroy this real quick? Not even, this card gets rid of it. You're not getting that effect. MST gets rid of it. Fantastic. Terrible. And summons one from the fucking deck. 5 or higher. So this or higher. I mean, yeah, these are the good ones. But it's not a fucking Valkyrie card name, by the way. Not a Valkyrie card name, which means A is unsearchable. And B, it doesn't even fucking trigger Erda's first effect. These cards are terrible. Like, I don't understand what they were doing with this deck when they sat down and they read, okay, Rite of the Valkyries, huh? Okay, that's a pretty good card. And you can get Mischief, too. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, so an OTK, that's pretty good. Okay, yeah. Sure, whatever. And then they just said, okay, so control. You want control now. Oh, bad control. Oh, I got you, fam. Dog, I got you, fam. Like, and they put garbage, bad, like, what are these cards, dude? What are these? Half of them aren't even searchable by their own search card. And the rest of them just don't even help you. They don't help. That's the problem, is they don't help. They don't help. And if these cards are not helping, what are they doing, right? They are literally detriments. They are literally dog shit. You are drawing blank cards when you draw these cards because they're terrible. So, I hate to talk about hypotheticals. I hate to be like, well, this deck, if it had good card, it'd be good, right? Obviously, right? If I had a card that says your opponent cannot react to it and destroy everything on their field, right? Actually, shuffle it all back in the deck, right? Obviously, that'd be fucking amazing and make the deck playable. But I propose the deck doesn't need main deck monsters. It needs 2 things. Well, in one of 2 things, I think, would make the deck infinitely better. And that's a Link monster that does fucking something. A Link 1, which I don't think is as needed anymore because Diviner's in the game. It definitely needed it before, but Diviner, again, is in the game now. Or a Link like 3 that gives you some sort of like, I didn't win this turn, but it's close. I need to wait till next turn. It has some sort of like stay, like some sort of like ability to at least not immediately lose the next turn. You know what I mean? Because your monsters don't fucking do anything. And I'm not saying for it to be like a negate 1 card, pop 1 card, quick effect or something like that. I just wanted to say like, I don't even know, like summon 1 from the graveyard. You know what I mean? It's not like a going first sort of card, or maybe that is kind of like a going first sort of card. I don't know. I just wanted to like allow you to live for like a little bit. And it should be generic. Fairies only. Like, please, for the love of God, do not be any more restrictive with this deck than it already is, right? It needs more, like, help. It needs help. And if I was going to make a Link 1, I would only want it to say, when this card is summoned, search 1 Rite of the Valkyries from deck to hand. It would mean it's easy to get out, because it only needs a fairy, one Link 1 fairy, which means that you can get Rite of the Valkyries, which means you don't have to play multiples of this card. You can play just 1, possibly. Maybe 2, right? You don't need to play 3, which means you have more deck space for generic cards. And that means you can probably get rid of like more Viert, or maybe you want to play more Viertes or something. I don't know. It would work better for the deck for sure. You would definitely change the way the list is made. If it was a Link 3 that was something to the effect of like something like Bardiche, right? It can't be used for Link material, and if you control nothing but Valkyrie monsters, you can, I hate to say quick effect, but maybe like, I don't even know. I want to make it good and have some sort of stay. I want it to fit archetypal. Maybe just make it, no, that doesn't work either. I mean, maybe I could say like, just make it Darklaw, right? Just make it Darklaw. Like, it better Erda, right? Erda says any card that's destroyed by card effect or battle is banished instead, but let's say any card that would be sent to the graveyard isn't banished. Just make it like a fucking walking macrocosmos or dimensional fission, or a one-sided one, right? Not fissure, whatever it's called, I don't remember. That would be nice. It would give you some sort of ability to be on the board after not winning the game and at least do something, right? Something. I don't want it to just be the generic. That's the one thing I like about this deck, is it's nothing about this deck is like, oh yeah, it's a quick effect pop. oh yeah, it's a negate. Oh yeah, I'm playing like how I play every other deck, right? It's an all-in OTK strategy that I just want to facilitate that more. Another thing that I would really like, so one really good card that would really fit in this deck fantastically is Dark Ruler No More. But God damn it. But the problem is, for the turn you activate this, you deal no fucking battle damage. I mean, you can at least go to the next turn and deal battle damage with something like Mischief, but you're not going to OTK with this card. So what I would like to see is possibly another card, maybe a Link 1 that says search out, Wrath of whatever she is, right? The one bitch Scold is time, well then she could be space or something, and the Wrath of the Space Goddess, and it says something to the cannot be negated, just like this one says, and if you control nothing but Valkyrie monsters at the beginning of a battle phase, activate this card from hand, cannot be in a chain link 2 or higher, negate all monsters on your opponent's side of the field, right? Just like a good Dark Ruler in archetypal Dark Ruler No More that can't be abused by other decks, and it's only at the start of the battle phase, whereas this is at the start of the end phase, and then you're able to deal with monsters, so you don't have to play Dark Ruler No More, so you don't have to play like this or these or something like that. You can fit in more space to where you want it to be fit, right? And it still has its weaknesses in the fact that you have to wait till battle phase to even get to that ability, and maybe make it searchable by like a Link 1 or something, so you have to get into the Link 1 and it has to be searched. It could be Ash. Like, it has weaknesses, but it fits really nicely. The other what if scenario that I would really like to see for this deck is a spell card or a trap card that is good. That is good. Now, I get it, these are good, right? Rather Valkyrie, Mischief the Time Goddess is good, but there needs to be other ones that are also good. I would prefer to see a trap, if I'm being honest. I would prefer to see a trap that at least does fucking something. You know what would be really good is if that card, the proposed one that would be a quick play spell, was a trap that activates from the hand. Something to the effect of the Feather Duster one, Harpy's Feather Duster trap. I forget what it's called. It should be in the text. Yeah, Harpy's Feather Storm. Something to the effect of that, where it's like if you control a Valkyrie monster, at least one, until the end phase, and they get any monster card any monster your opponent attempts to activate. Right. That would be really nice because A, it's a generic trap, which means that it's searchable from Vierte. It doesn't have to have Valkyrie in the name. Like, I get it. It's frustrating, but it doesn't need to. This is an extremely good card, which means it doesn't need to be able to be consistently searched. I would very much like it to, though. If it's like Valkyrie's fucking giant cock, right? And it's just Valkyrie in the name. It's searchable, and it works to stop your opponent and can be activated from the hand. It can't be activated from the hand on the first turn, but on the second turn it can. Which would be very nice. I would probably prefer the other one, though, just because it's Dark Ruler No More, but it works for the archetype, which means you're going to be able to at least facilitate some sort of OTK. Now, there's one other card that could work in this deck. It's an anime card. I forget exactly how it goes, but they put a lot of anime fucking cards in this goddamn deck, so they could at least do the one that facilitates the OT fucking K that they decided they kind of forgot about. Selectively went, yeah, I guess I'm not fucking doing that one. I'll give you Logue's Flame, dude. Use it. Like, you know what I mean? It's the fucking equip spell that Siegfried gives Brunhilde. It's like an anti-dragon card, but they should instead change it a little bit so it's a little bit more generic. Have, very important here, have Valkyrie in the fucking title. Like, I forget what it's called, but they should definitely do that. But yeah, that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching.